How long, Kim, have you been going hiking? Or how long has the outdoors been important to you?
Oh, I was raised, our family vacations were camping every year. So we would go to places like Kildare and Algonquin, and it's a great place. You sort of get let loose. You'd swim all day and run around in the forest. And my brother and I just grew up appreciating, bugs and frogs and fish, and the outdoors were some of our best memories.
Yeah. My father and my mom would take us out to places like the Royal Botanical Gardens in Hamilton. And they would just kind of let us loose. And that was kind of the best part about it, is that you just had total freedom, right? So they'd sit down with a blanket and they're like, off you go. And we'd go camping and all kinds of stuff. But I was a Boy Scout. My dad and I, our tradition was to go out on Sunday mornings after church and just go for a walk and explore. Sometimes go off trail, sometimes go creek crawling, and we would look for all kinds of stuff.
We really do live in one of the best areas to get outdoors that I can think of. You can be in the city and 20 minutes later be in gorgeous, quiet nature like this and just, have a great either exercise or a mental checkout or both at the same time. And because we live on the Bruce Trail, which goes from Niagara Falls up to Tobermory, there's hundreds of kilometers of trails that can be visited all along the way. So they're very accessible. I know of people actually that buy the map and then try to gradually over years, they mark off all the bits that they've done and try to do the whole thing. If I get stressed out, I know a hike is where I need to go, and as soon as I'm stressed, I start planning the hike to... I feel like I can solve the world's problems after about an hour out here. It just is so invigorating, and it helps me, I think most of all, it helps me determine or feel that I'm part of a bigger planet, essentially, right? The birds and the frogs, and that just getting in touch with nature, period, is really relaxing.
So I think we're only about...
I don't think we're quite halfway in.
Yeah, I think we're only about a third of the trail in at Crawford Lake. And although you can hear a little bit of traffic, you're out there. I mean, despite that I'm on a boardwalk and a little lookout and it's protected and, we're sitting here looking for insects and frogs and stuff, you look in one direction and it's just trees and water and bulrushes. And I mean, if you really need to get away, and especially since vacation is out of the question with COVID going on, you can get away. And there's a lot to see. You just have to be really careful and slow, and you have to look for it. And sometimes you just gotta look for the small things, like this little guy, who's a little bit out of focus, but there's all kinds of insects and frogs, and there are snakes, and trust me, they're not gonna hurt you. They're not harmful. But sometimes looking for those smaller things is most of the fun. So put your cell phones away. Turn off the music and listen to what's around you.
We're so used to being in stores and places where people are trying to sell you something. So accessing information is overwhelming because it's all there for you. But when you're out in nature, you have to really slow down because nobody's doing that for you. You have to learn how to access that information yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a very different way of approaching things.
I like that. Before we wrap up, I wanted you to mention a little bit about Conservation Halton and how you're sustained, because many people have the belief that you are government funded and you're not.
No, and that's a surprise for a lot of people. And I think because conservation authorities are, difficult. It's sometimes challenging to understand where we fit in terms of, provincial governments, federal governments, municipal governments. So we're an agency that operates in partnership with a lot of organizations and underneath the legislative umbrella of the Conservation Authorities Act. But our park system grew up around that, and it's something that is not funded through any tax dollars. So that's a surprise for a lot of folks. Mm-hmm. So the parks that so many people in Halton are relying on for all of their outdoor time is funded by the fact that you're here.
So when I buy a pass to this park, I'm directly supporting Conservation Halton and specifically Crawford Lake right now.
Every time, yeah.
Every
Having
time.
people come into these parks, it's just so satisfying to be able to share it with people. We love having people here, and B, it is the thing that keeps it running.